Hi everyone, we're going to wait a few more moments before everybody can join us, and this session is going to be recorded, so if you miss anything or you want to see it again, we'll email you the link in a few days' time. Okay, now before we start, if you've got any questions, you'll see on the right-hand side down the bottom there is a chat box. Feel free just to text any questions that you may have in here. I'm just going to write in here text here, and so that should pop up. So any questions at all, we have Sky, who's from the call centre, will be able to answer any questions as we go along. I just want to welcome everyone to the Australis College Career Pathway webinar. My name's Wendy Webber. I'm the Head of Faculty for Community and Counselling, and today assisting me will be Sky Mailer, one of our course consultants. She's going to answer any questions that you may have. We also, before we start, I'm just going to invite Pauline Allardyce, a proud Aboriginal woman and also one of our trainers and assessors, to do Welcome to Country.
Thank you, Wendy. I would like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we are having this event on today, and both elders past and present. I'd like also to acknowledge the ongoing effort to protect and promote Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures will leave a lasting legacy for our future elders and leaders. Thank you.
Thanks, Pauline. Now today we have, before we start, I just want to let you know a little bit about Australis College. For the past 11 years, Australis College has been training nationally, and with our focus is on community and counselling. We have an Australian-based team who all work in the industry, and our aim is for all graduates to have real-world knowledge, skills and confidence to work in the industry. We will be doing a number of these surveys throughout the year, and we also, in all of our courses, we have a lot of contact with our industry partners as well. Now today we have two experts. Our first one's Melissa Ford. She's a registered psychologist and she's got a passion for working with vulnerable and disadvantaged children and families. Over the past decade, Melissa has worked in a range of areas within the community services and counselling, which includes child safety services, residential care, child and youth mental health, as well as her current role as a guidance counsellor in a primary school. Melissa works from an attachment focus and enjoys upskilling and empowering parents and teachers to understand and support.
Yes, hello, everyone. I think I think we just lost Wendy. It looks like internet's always a bit of a gamble, isn't it? So I'll just continue on from where she left off. So yes, my name is Melissa Ford, and I'm a registered psychologist. I'm also the trainer and assessor here at Australis for a number of different diplomas and certificates that we provide within the community services industry. So I thought maybe I'd give you a bit of an overview of what it looks like to work in some of those roles. Because along the way in my career, I've worked in a number of different roles within community services. And I always found it really helpful when I was starting off to get a bit of an overview of what that job actually looks like in reality. So community services industry in general is incredibly diverse and dynamic and challenging. I think it was Gandhi who said that you should judge a society by the way that it treats its most vulnerable members. And indeed, community services is all about working with the most vulnerable members of society. So we're working with children and young people, many who have experienced trauma and abuse or neglect backgrounds. We're working with people with disabilities. We're working within aged care, with refugees, and people who often have a complex interplay of lots of different issues, such as homelessness, mental health issues, drug and alcohol issues, lots of different things that impact on that single person. So it's incredibly complex and an incredibly, incredibly important area to work in. And I have a real passion for working in community services. I didn't think that I did when I first started off when I first started off studying, but I just happened to see an ad for a disability support worker working with kids with autism within a respite service, where the children would come every 6 weeks to the service and just spend the weekend with us, just to give them and their families a break. I just sort of happened upon this job along the way, and it just really inspired me, and it's sort of shaped my whole career. So I have a real passion for working with families and with children, and families who experience a range of different disadvantages, especially. So just to give you an overview of my different roles that I've worked in the past, because along the way while I was studying, I would often have 1 or 2 part-time or casual jobs going along the way. And I also did volunteer work as well. I really wanted to have my resume as robust and I don't know, I just wanted to have real life experience, because qualifications obviously are amazing and you very much need them in this day and age. But sorry, excuse me. But sorry, I'm just having computer. You just very much in this day. But having that experience under your belt is absolutely vital. So for the school chaplain role, so currently I think Wendy said that I work in a school, and I do, as a guidance counsellor, but the school chaplain role is very similar to the guidance counsellor role, and I know lots of people are really interested in working within a school. So the school chaplain does lots of fabulous, amazing things within the school community. So they might provide one-on-one counselling or support to children and young people. Often from more of a religious point of view, at times that is part of the school chaplain's role as well. But then they also do a range of different small group supports. So I know a school chaplain who runs the Drumbeat program with young people at their high school. I don't know if you've heard of Drumbeat, but it's a very, very cool program where they have young people who are sort of having trouble belonging and fitting in, and they get them to play drums and express themselves through drumming, which is just incredible. So you could do things like that. School chaplains do a lot of welfare work, so they might go and do home visits to the families within their school community and link them up with food parcels or with services that can provide them that sort of practical support that they might need that week because the family is going through a hard time. So the wonderful thing about working in a school is that it's really proactive, normalized work. So you're part of the community. You get to know families over the years and years and years that their kids go there. So it's really quite easy for families to access you as a school chaplain, and really you can do some amazing long-term proactive work that can make a big difference on the lives of children, young people, but also their families, and also the teachers and the other stakeholders that you might work with within that really complex environment that is a school. So what you would need if you're interested in doing a school chaplain job is the Diploma of Child, Youth and Family Intervention would be really important, as well as the Diploma of Counselling or Diploma of Counselling, sorry. So if that's what you're interested in, that would be good to look at. Along the way, I also worked within housing support. So that is really interesting work as well. So I worked within a non-profit organisation, and I'd go into homes of families who were in short-term accommodation. So, you know, the accommodation was for 3 to 6 months. And that was because they had gone through a number of barriers and issues in their lives that had cost them accommodation in the past. So that might be mental health or domestic violence or lack of family supports, lack of finances, those sort of things. So they'd end up in the short-term housing, and it was my job to go in and visit them every week, build a relationship with them, and help link them in with services and supports within their natural community. Because it's great that they have a relationship with me, and obviously that's very important, but more important in the long term that they're linked in with their own network, people that can support them. So that was really an amazing job, and I got a really great insight into the struggles of people and the lives of people because you're in their homes and you can see what they're working with and what their amazing resilience and protective factors are, but also what their challenges are. And there's a lot in that role, a lot of practical linking in, going with clients to visit Department of Housing, advocating for clients at Department of Housing or advocating for them at the local real estate to try and have their voices heard. Because a lot of these people, sadly, they don't feel confident enough to be able to advocate for themselves. So that's a really powerful job as well. So if you were interested in housing support work, a diploma of community services in case management would be really amazing, or the diploma of counselling. In a lot of these roles, I think counselling is having those sort of basic counselling skills is really important. Sometimes people think counselling is about being able to give really good advice to clients or to people. But that's not what counselling is about at all. Counselling is about being able to empower someone to be able to walk along next to them in their emotional journey, to help them process their own emotions and their own thoughts and come up with their own goals. Because no one likes being told what to do, and so I don't think anyone would like being told what to do from a counsellor either. So counselling is actually a lot more of a challenging, dynamic skill than just giving advice, and really important in any of these roles that I'll be talking about here today. And of course, that brings us to counselling. If you want to be a counsellor, then you'll need the diploma of counselling. And counselling itself is in that just that small domain is a really varied roles within counselling. So you might be working within a nonprofit organisation, in a clinic room. You might be seeing children whose parents are separated, or adults. You might only work with adults, or you might work with families, or you might work with couples. You might do telephone counselling for Kids Helpline, or for Lifeline, or for one of the smaller church-based organisations as well, like Salvo Careline. If you are interested in providing counselling and being a counsellor, I highly, highly, highly recommend you get real life experience by doing one of the telephone counselling courses and volunteer roles through telephone counselling. They provide the most amazing supports to help you really practice those skills that you'll learn within your Australis qualification. So highly, highly recommend that. Being a counsellor is an incredible privilege. I don't know if any of you guys have gone to see a counsellor before or seen a psychologist, but it is unbelievably daunting going up to a complete stranger and sitting in a strange room with them and then spilling the potentially painful details of your life. Someone that you don't even know. So that's why it is so, so, so important that as counsellors we provide 100% confidential and private space for our clients to be able to tell us anything that they feel that they need to tell us, within limits, of course. With the confidentiality always has limits, but we really need to see them being able to do that as an amazing privilege and an amazing experience in getting an insight into someone else's life. So that's the role of a counsellor. Child safety support worker. So I also did a stint in child safety, and a child safety support worker is a very important role within child safety. They support the child safety worker. Oh, by the way, guys, I should tell you that all of these roles that I'll be talking about are based in Queensland. So I'm from Queensland. So there will be differences definitely within the different states. So just so you know that as well. So the child safety support worker does lots of practical support to support the children and families that are involved with child safety. And when we talk about supporting the most vulnerable members of society, there's really no one more vulnerable than the children who have experienced trauma, abuse, neglect, really not great situations at home. So the role of a child safety support worker is of the utmost importance. So you might, in this role, you might be supervising visits between the parents and their children, supporting the parents to respond to their children in a more positive way. You might be driving the children from visit to visit, or you might be taking them on an outing or taking them to an appointment. You'll certainly be writing up case notes of your observations, which will contribute to the court documents. You'll attend family group meetings, because when you're working with a family in such an intimate way, where you're observing their visits together or you're driving them around, you build amazing relationships with them and you really get to know them. So as a child safety support worker, you're an important part of the family group meetings that they hold, which is all about coming up with goals and coming up with plans for how the family can better support and better provide a more nurturing environment for the children. And also, yeah, I'll do lots of linking in with the community and trying to create a network of support for the families, because families that are well supported are more able to their own children. So if you're interested in a child safety support worker role, the Diploma of Child, Youth and Family Intervention would be amazing, or a Diploma of Community Service and Case Management, or even the Diploma of Counselling would be really useful in those areas. And finally, I think this is the last role that I'll talk to you about that I've had experience in, and where the start of my career sort of really got started, and what really inspired me is a disability support worker role. So disability support work can be really challenging and varied. You provide lots of practical support to the client. So it could be, you could be washing and bathing them. You could be driving them to work or driving them to their appointments, or going play bowling with them, or going to the movies with them, or taking them to the gym and working out with them. Obviously, a lot of emotional support goes along with that as well. Behavioural management it can be a thing in disability support work as well, and that is all about working as part of a team. So you'll work as part of a team of disability support workers that will provide support to a client, and if the client is experiencing some behavioural issues, as a team you'll come up with the best strategies to work towards settling those issues and working towards greater goals for that client. So being a good communicator, being able to work towards a greater goal, even if it's tricky for you in the moment, is a really important part of that role. So it can be really challenging, but also really amazing, because over time, you could do, often the work is shift work. So you might spend 24-hour shift with a client. That's including an overnight sleep. And in that time, oh my gosh, you build the most amazing relationships with them, and you really, really get to know them. And they get to know you as well. So quite often, I felt like it was sort of my second home when I was going to do my role as a disability support worker. I just felt so at home there. And you sort of become part of the furniture, and so do the clients. And there's something really beautiful about that, just really getting to know everyone as people, and not just as someone with a disability. So fabulous. So if you would like to do disability support work, a Diploma of Youth Work, Diploma of Child, Youth and Family Intervention, of Community Services and Case Management, or the Diploma of Counselling would be really useful as well. So that's all from me. So thank you very much, guys.
And it's over to me.
Oh, sorry, hang a minute. Thanks, Stefan. Just a minute. Thanks, Melissa. I just wanted to say, if you've got any questions for Melissa, if you pop down into the chat, and Melissa will be able to answer any questions you may have later. Before Steph starts, I just want to introduce her now. She's passionate about leisure and health and recreation, and she's worked with people with barriers to participation in aged care and disability for over 30 years. She's the current National Educator Coordinator for the Diversional and Recreation Therapy of Australia. So over to you, Steph.
Okay, thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Mel. I'd like to say that on the back of what Mel mentioned and the different and diverse groups that she has worked with, and mentioned how in her role and in different roles that you can support people. It's very similar to a diversional therapy or leisure and health role. Diversional therapy is a client-centered practice, and it's based on the premise that leisure is a right of all people, all individuals. It's, as a practice, assists people to be leisure independent, and as mentioned, we work with people with diverse disabilities, abilities, aged care, and also, as we'll look a little bit later on these slides, in other capacities. We promote engagement, positive engagement. So with the idea that through leisure, people's well-being is enhanced, and through that engagement that they can achieve goals and better health outcomes for themselves. Physical, cognitive and mental rehabilitation. So we also work in rehabilitation within hospitals following brain injury, in different capacities in the healthcare system. And overall wanting to promote that sense of self-esteem for people, and the self-esteem that can come from achieving your goals and achieving your outcome and being immersed in something that you love. So as I mentioned, aged care, a little bit of history to diversional therapy. Diversional therapy is the name of the therapy, and I guess it works on the idea of diversion and taking people's centeredness away from those disabilities or health concerns. And it came out of practice after the war, after the Second World War, where it was noted that the soldiers returning from the war were in fact, immersed in these disabilities and their unwellness. And a woman, Miss Lila Bloor, from 1945 until 1976, took interested individuals through a program teaching them how to work with people, to adapt and modify and instruct clients on how to perform different activities. And initially it was based in lots of art and handicraft, and then we realized, or as a profession, it was realized that being able to expand that that knowledge of leisure and implementing leisure to promote that sense of well-being was instigated. So from there, the 1960s up until the present, the therapy has been enhanced, been professionalized, and through the Diversional and Recreation Therapy Association, I guess the profound impact that we can have is being spread as an idea. So in aged care, a large number of positions are available in aged care, and that includes planning and implementing leisure activities for people as they come into aged care residential facilities, but also in the community and in the home. Promoting that sense of well-being, we identify individual needs, individual preferences, and interests that people may have, or even things that they want to explore as they've gotten older. Adopting programs to suit individual client needs, skills, and interests. And then part of our role is assessing what needs to change about that activity or that leisure interest so that people can perform and excel at that interest. So modifying, adapting activities. So the Diploma of Leisure and Health, or the Certificate 4 in Leisure and Health, are the qualifications for an aged care position. And as I mentioned, there's lots of work in the aged care sector for leisure and health professionals. As a little bit of a diverse profession, correctional facilities. So as mentioned, our role is to increase the well-being of people through leisure and rehabilitation, as well as I guess those behavioural issues that can often manifest. And in the correction centres, our role is to assist the facility with sporting programs. We also do crafts, special activities, prisoner groups that you know, encourage the engagement and the interaction between people that can also set people up for positive experiences on the outside. Adapting programs to suit individual client needs, skills and interests. Again, working with the people individually and setting up programs that they're going to excel at. And again, the diploma and the certificate for in health and leisure is what will get you there. So I'm just wondering. So as well as within the correctional centres, aged care, rehab being hospital related, as I talked about before, there's also the capacity to work in private practice. So as a private practitioner, you would also complete the Diploma of Leisure and Health and the Certificate for in Leisure and Health. And in private practice, you'd be working particularly on that one-to-one basis, or as a consultant to a facility or a correctional institution or any of the other areas that you might work in. We work a lot with people with dementia, and in fact, the benefits of a well-planned leisure program for people with dementia has been documented, and being able to engage people at that leisure, in that leisure and health at the very beginning of their dementia diagnosis, has even had studies showing that they can slow down the development of dementia for people. So definitely an area that is growing, and that, you know, people should really be tapping into diversional therapy and leisure and health as a therapy for those people. So in private practice, we assist people in their own homes, providing activities to enhance their quality of life. Again, adapting programs to suit individual client needs, their interests and their current skills, and again, assessing client abilities and designing, modifying, adapting those programs to meet those needs. Yes, so we did talk about rehabilitation and hospital units. It's an area, again, that works with a whole range of people, obviously from kids to older people, because you're in that hospital situation. So that I guess that as a profession can present a very diverse area of work, and to work in those areas, you do need a comprehension of the whole length of life experiences and leisure experiences for each of those generations and those people. So assisting activity programs, crafts, special activities, play therapy, adapting programs to suit individual needs again, and providing people with distractions through the use of leisure and play, again, that diversion away from their situation, and using leisure and play as a positive enhancement to their lives. So really a wonderful therapy to put into play. And if you feel that you're the type of person that interacts well with all ages, has an empathy for how people might be feeling in different stages of life, and perhaps disability or illness, and you don't necessarily need a craft background, but the ability to tap into those leisure areas, and being able to, I guess, access for those people, supporting them, advocating for them to be able to do the leisure and the interests that they nominate, that they put forward as their preference. So it's a great job, very very rewarding as a role, and very happy to answer any of your questions towards the end of this webinar if you've got any. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very informative. Now, let's move on to the next slide. Now, university pathways. Australis College, we're really lucky to have 3 articulation programs to universities. One is to Western Sydney University, the other one Central Queensland, and University of Southern Queensland. A number of these universities are online, so you don't actually have to be in the local vicinity to attend. Now, what an articulation agreement is, it's actually a partnership with a university where the goal is a seamless entry from diploma to degree. So a number of our diplomas cross straight over to a degree where you get some time off in order to go on your way to complete a degree. So you can think of your diploma and pathway. Now, Skye's going to talk to you about other pathways.
Okay, so ultimately you can use the diplomas that we have at Australis College to apply through your state's local tertiary admissions body. So the admissions centre, they usually award you a rank or a score that compares to the entry requirements for the course you are applying for. So you can also take into consideration any experience that you've had as well, and that will come down to what the tertiary admissions office wants from you, what they ask for you, and of course the university that you're applying for. So if you have a look on the screen, you can see the admissions bodies for Queensland, so that's QTAC. You can also see the admissions body for New South Wales, which is UAC, and you can see the admissions body for Victoria, which is VTAC. So they build on top of the articulation agreements that we already have. The main difference would be with the articulation agreements, they're agreements that we already have set up with these universities. So that means that the units that you're studying with us, they will slide straight in, and it's designed to be a smooth transition from your diploma to your degree. With the Western Sydney University, Central Queensland University, and the University of Southern Queensland, with the alternative pathways, so if you apply through the admissions centre, it's completely up to the admissions centre and the university on what they accept as any credit transfers or prior study agreements. Okay, so if I could get Wendy to just move to the next slide for me, fantastic. So here at Australis College, we have 2 different study options that you can choose from. So the first option would be the full course structure. So with the full course structure, you enroll into the full course, and that has a set course duration. It has set study hours per week and set units structured, meaning that you do your units of competency in an order that's structured by your faculty. With this study option, you have 7-day access to your trainer and you have complete support. So all of your resources will be available to you through your student portal, and you pay just the one-off course full fee. Now, the second option is our subscription model. So this option is a little bit more different. This option is more flexible and probably best and great for those who have an extremely busy lifestyle and may not be able to commit to the same study hours each week. Now, you can use this study option to work towards your chosen qualification, or you can use the study option to access content and learn and work towards your professional or personal development. With this option, you pay a monthly fee to access the course content, which is broken up into subjects. If you're wanting to work towards completing a qualification, we provide you with a course map so you know which subjects to complete, and then you just work towards your goal. You can complete your assessments at your own pace, and you pay for them to be assessed when you're ready. This study option allows you to work through at your own pace and is very affordable. If you would like some more information on the subscription option or the full course enrollment, please refer back to our website. As you can see on the screen, with the subscription model, for content only, it's $40 per month. And for content plus support, it's $70 per month. So it's a little bit different in the full course in that you're paying a monthly fee for access to content. And then you just pay for the assessments as you would like them to be marked. The full course, you pay the one-off full course fee. And we do have a few different payment options for that, which I will get into now. So the different payment and funding options depend on the type of course that you'd like to enroll into. So for all courses, so for diploma and the certificate 4, you can go on a payment plan. The payment plan will obviously depend on what the cost of the course is and the duration of the course. So we generally split the payment out into monthly repayments. So say if the course went for 12 months, it would be 12 monthly repayments. There's no interest on the payment plan. You're purely paying back the total cost of the course. For our certificate 4s and our diplomas, we do also offer a study loan. They are a private loan provider. So with study loans, to access that type of loan, you just need to be working full-time, part-time, or casually and earning over $20,000. You must also be an Australian citizen or a permanent resident, but there is more information on study loans provided on our website. The third option we have is our VET student loan, which is probably quite popular, and I'm sure most of you have probably heard of the VET student loan option before. Now, the VET student loan is a loan from the Commonwealth Government to assist paying your tuition fees. You can access the VET student loan for all of our diploma courses. Unfortunately, you can't access it for the certificate 4s. With the VET student loan, there is an eligibility criteria, which I am happy to go through with anybody later on if they want to ask any questions in the question section. And we do also have, with the VET student loan, you can access that in any state as well. So that's Australia-wide. With higher level skills, you'll see the final option on the payment and funding option. That option is available to Queensland residents only, as our head office is based in Queensland, so it's a Queensland subsidy. If you were looking to study one of our certificate 4s, you can access this subsidy if you have not completed a certificate 4 before and you can provide proof of your Queensland residency. So if anyone has any questions on any of the funding types, please feel free to into the chat section, ask away, because I'm happy to answer those questions for you now. I will now move down to our questions section, which we will open up for anyone to ask either Melissa, Steph, Wendy, or myself any questions. Please feel free to type away in the questions section. I will hand it back over to Wendy now. I believe she's got some questions ready to answer in her queue.
Thanks, Guy. The first one, I think actually Mel should answer this one. Where could I find a job as a housing support officer if this was the direction I wanted to take?
Yes, I think I did type a little thing about this, but if this is for Jess, thank you very much for this question. Definitely have a look on Seek or whatever your your favored career, online career hub is. Just type in housing support officer, housing support worker, or support worker, and that will bring up all those different options, and you just scroll through and find what you're interested in. I just did a quick look just then, just to make sure what I was telling you is correct, and I found a number of different housing support worker roles just on Seek by doing that. Alternatively, you could Google any local non-profit housing support organizations in your area and just have a look on their direct webpage, because often they'll have a vacancies section and you'll be able to see if they have any vacancies in that area as well. But great question.
Thanks, Melissa. Also, one other thing you could look at, residential care. Oh, sorry, before you, with this one, residential care worker as well. So you can look at that on Seek. The next one is, I work as an education assistant here in Perth and wanted to branch out and work with families and children because my role I deal with a lot of children who are under the Department of Child Protection. So I was looking at doing a diploma in child youth family intervention. Do you think this is a way to go? Melissa, do you want to answer this one as well?
Well, I think yes. I think that's a great way to go. As long as you agree with me, Wendy, I think that'd be a great option. Yeah, a diploma of child, youth, and family intervention would really give you a leg up with looking for jobs in that area for sure.
Definitely. It's actually got some really great units in there. It focuses on trauma-informed care. It works on how to actually communicate with families as well as children. So it's a really good course. Now the next one is what qualification do I need to work with youth? I would suggest diploma of youth work. Youth is anywhere between the ages of 12 to 25. So if you're looking at working with specifically with youth, then diploma of youth work would be the way to go. Next one. Now, Steph, this one you could answer. If there's wondering if there's a level of work available after completing a Cert 4 in leisure and health.
I'm just wondering what the level of work. There are roles available. As mentioned, aged care is probably the biggest sector that we work in. With the
Steph's frozen. So I'll just continue on there. Yes, in aged care, if you look at activities workers, anything to do with you, Cert 4 gives you the ability to work under a diversional therapist. So you could be, you need to look at activities as a lifestyle worker.
Yeah, yes, and supplementing. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Yes, supplementing the role of any facility providing the services. So I think as a profession, we're definitely going to be highlighted in the next few years as a necessity. And with the change in generation and the demands that people are now putting forth as to, wanting their leisure interests to be met, I'm very positive as to the level of work available, and completing that certificate 4 in leisure and health will certainly open up those pathways for you.
Thanks, Steph. Let's see what other ones we have. So I'll answer this one. Can the units in the Diploma of Leisure and Health be studied and assessed in any order? Now, this will depend upon how you're enrolled. If you're enrolled into the full diploma, then it has a particular order. We always start with diversity and communication, and then we lead on to the leisure and health units once you get an understanding of how to actually work with diverse people, how to assess coexisting needs. If you are doing the subscription model, where you have a range of units that you could work from, there is only the requirements of diversity. There's 2 diversity units that must be done in order, and then the specific leisure and health units must be done in order. So it would be so orientation to the leisure and health industry, and then you learn about how to create program planning and things like that. So there is a little bit of a structure even with the subscription model, but definitely with the diploma there isn't. And with the subscription model, if you just wanted to even check it out, you can do a month only. You can actually have access to over 70 units, and you can see our course content. You can even have access to all of our assessments. Every assessment you can actually have access to before you even attempt it. So the next one that we've got is I've completed Cert 3 in Individual Care, Certificate 4 in Aging Support earlier this year, and now work as an assistant in nursing in aged care facility. Thinking of studying the Diploma of Leisure and Health next year. Disappointed with the quality of the learning materials where I studied. Wondering if it's possible to see samples before I decide. Again, with our with our subscription model, yes, not a problem. You'll actually be able to see, as I said in the last one, over 70 units. You'll be able to see our course content. You'll be able to see our assessments. And also what we do have is we have a number of conferences that run every week on particular subjects. So for example, we might talk about something to do with leisure and health one week, or we might talk about something that's to do with counselling, or we might talk about something generic. So you not only have just the content, you also have the added support if that's what you choose to get, and all the conferences are recorded as well. So we'll have expert industry come in and talk about specifics in the industry as well. Hopefully that's answered your question. It's a bit disappointing to hear that the quality of the learning material wasn't as good. The next question, I think I've answered all the questions. Does anybody have any more questions before we finish up? Doesn't look like it. Now, if you do have any questions later on, or you think of something that you had forgotten to ask, or you wanted to know a little bit more, please feel free to either visit the website. It's got a lot of information on there as well, or you can email us at info@australiscollege.edu.au, or feel free to call us again on 1300 887 991. Sky will be happy to take any emails, questions as well. I'm happy to answer them as well. And I hope you found this webinar beneficial. When I close this webinar, you will go straight to the website, so you'll be able to see what our courses are, and you'll also get a recording sent out to you and answers to any other questions that you may have. And thank you, Steph and Mel, Sky and Pauline for joining us today. And our next one of these will be in January.